coming up on Retirement Solutions Television.
There's another pivotal story about the money bag that really made us think about this cash bucket. Ryan, share a little bit about that.
Well, the cash bucket, here's the design for the cash bucket. If something happens, an emergency takes place, you have some payments that come in, they're a little bit late, you need to have a reserve.
Let's face it, life happens. And because of that, you've got to have some money set aside to ensure that you've got enough money so that it doesn't ruin the rest of the plan. It doesn't break the bank, right?
We need to know that we have reliable income that's coming in every single month. The next layer, after we solve the income, is we're going to look at inflation. This goes right along with the blueprint. If we look at inflation and we say we know that the need is going to double over the next 20 years based on our current pace, we need to have a plan and a strategy that we're going to deal with inflation.
And now your hosts of Retirement Solutions Television, the Retirement Brothers, Tyson and Ryan Thacker.
Hi, and welcome to Retirement Solutions Television. My name is Ryan Thacker, along with my brother Tyson Thacker. We are the Retirement Brothers.
We've got a great show for you today, and it starts right here, right now. So Ryan, today we want to talk about the cash bucket as it relates to the Boss Retirement Blueprint. And we were talking about this a little bit offset and about a couple of really pivotal stories that made a big difference in our lives. And the first one was, you know, every child loves, especially us boys, we wanted to be just like our dad. And he was an entrepreneur. He, for 41 years, owned his own barbershop in the Cottonwood Mall. And every day he would come home, he had this money bag in his hand.
Is that why you're bald?
Because
he cut all our hair off.
Because Dad is done, so I can't go get a haircut. No, we actually have a great barber.
This is just the hairline from our mom's dad. If you talk to any barber, 80% of male pattern baldness comes from.
That's what Dad always used to say, right?
Awesome. Living large.
So every night, Dad would bring all of his money home that he had earned that day in his money bag. And I looked at that and I said, if Dad has a money bag and he's a successful business owner.
Explain a money bag. What is a money bag?
I think most people kind of know what these are. You know, this money bag was from Zions Bank, but it was just a leather bag that had a zipper on top that you could make a deposit at the bank in. That's what they were most of the time used for. But Dad would use that as basically his big wallet.
Yeah.
And
he would carry it around. It was always on his hip when he came home.
Dad doesn't have a wallet. Dad has a money bag. That is awesome. I want a money bag.
Supersized wallet.
And I want to be just like Dad.
Yeah.
And I want it in every way, including the way he runs his business. And I thought, if Dad's successful because he has a money bag, that's what my 6, 7, 8-year-old mind thought. And so I kept asking Dad over and over for a money bag. And one of those great days of my life.
You pestered him long enough.
Was when Dad came home.
Did you bring home the money bag?
And he brought me my own money bag. And he brought one home for you too.
Yep.
I remember that as well. And we just thought, man, could life get any better? And so what did I do, Rye? Every time I got a $5 bill or a $10 bill or a $20 bill.
Wait. You would try to get the biggest bill you could get. If it was a 20 or a 50, you would go back down to the bank and you'd say, can you give this to me all in once?
I'd ride my bike.
And then they'd give you the one stack in a 50 that looked like that, right?
Because I needed to be just like Dad, and Dad's money bag was thick.
The more wrinkled, the better.
That's right.
Okay, because then it was thicker.
So we got to be like Dad in that way. Now, there's another pivotal story about the money bag that really made us think about this cash bucket. Ryan, share a little bit about that.
Well, the cash bucket, here's the design for the cash bucket. If something happens, an emergency takes place, you have some payments that come in, they're a little bit late, you need to have a reserve. That's how you can sleep at night when the wind blows.
Absolutely.
You can have a little bit of reserve. I remember when I was in high school, we were going to the cabin, we were going on a snowmobile trip, and Dad had a whole week's worth, because Dad would build up all the cash in the money bag.
And then make a deposit at the end of the week.
Yep, well, it's Friday. He actually had not been to the bank the week before, and he had 2 weeks worth of money in the money bag. And we went to the grocery store to pick up a few things, which Dad didn't go to the grocery store very often, but we went there, got a few treats.
Went to Dan's Foods.
The money bag went right there in the front of the shopping cart.
Yep.
And we went and got it, and because he wasn't used to going to the grocery store, the money bag was there, puts the cart in the place there, and we just took off. We were heading snowmobiling. So about halfway up Parley's Canyon, I remember this very well because the sick feeling that I felt is he reached under the seat of the truck.
Where he hid it. That was his vault.
That's high-tech security. He reached under the seat like this, and he just like, oh my word. And he remembered that he left the money bag in.
Yeah.
Okay, this is now, we're 15, 20 miles away from the store. We go back to the store, and here's what was going through Dad's mind. That's all the cash for the business for the last 2 weeks.
How am I going to pay the mortgage?
How am I going to feed the family? And it wasn't in the days where you just had all these unlimited credit cards. That was the money. And you could just watch this process, and because he was sick, I was sick.
Mm-hmm.
And we got back to the store, go to the place, and there's no money bag. I mean, this is literally thousands of dollars in the money
just
bag.
being sick.
And just that feeling of, okay, what am I going to do now?
Yeah.
And, Dad goes in the store, he talks to the manager. There's no money bag. Well, if you would have had an emergency fund, right? This is what happens and gives you additional protection. Okay, whether it's medical, whether it's put a new roof on the house, whether it is just someone in the family needs something else. Luckily in this story, what happened
we can't leave them hanging.
The manager called the following week, and one of the baggers had walked out and seen that money bag, and they took it and hid it in the snow.
In other words, they were going to steal it.
And then they felt guilty.
Because they saw the panic in Dad's eyes when he was talking to the manager.
Went and turned the money bag in, okay? So it came back, and it was a great moment. I mean, I remember that moment very well. It's one of those defining moments. But ladies and gentlemen, as you're watching this show today, that's how the Boss Retirement Blueprint helps you have confidence, because you have a plan and you have a strategy. The cash bucket portion of the blueprint is going to help you know that if the wind blows, if a storm comes along, that you have something to go back and rely on, and that's not going to make a big impact on the rest of your plan. Come on in and see us so that we can help you design a properly structured Boss Retirement Blueprint.
You're watching Retirement Solutions Television, Utah's Retirement TV.
Life, a series of moments. A touch, a look, a laugh. Successful people. It might not be superior imagination. It just might be superior retirement planning. Imagine what's next. Plan today, own tomorrow.
Call Boss Retirement Solutions, 801-610-1234.
Many surveys show that only a small percentage of retirees and pre-retirees feel financially confident about retirement. This is a great time to be calling us to meet face-to-face for your no-cost Boss Retirement Blueprint. Let me tell you what this involves, and there's no obligation. You sit down with me or my team, and we will guide you through our complete retirement review. This includes looking to see if you can reduce what you might pay in taxes. We'll stress test your portfolio, we'll run your mutual funds, stocks, bonds, and even your variable annuity through a stress test that shows where you might be at risk if the economy turns down and certain events happen. We'll even do a fee analysis for you that shows how much you're paying in fees, making sure you're not paying too much in fees, and it's all part of the simplified financial Boss Retirement Blueprint. It's just fantastic. People love this because it simplifies and it's not a huge, hard to understand 150-page financial plan. It's nice and simple and shows where you are and what you ought to be aware of. We'll also run a retirement income analysis to see if you or your spouse are at risk of running out of money in retirement. So call now for your free, no obligation financial review.
You're watching Retirement Solutions Television, Utah's Retirement TV.
Welcome to the whiteboard. This week we're going to talk about the question, is your retirement on target? What I mean by that is, as we look at a target, imagine if we were going to zero in on what was most important when it came to preparing and planning for retirement, it would be this income portion. If we were to look at a bullseye and use the bullseye of a target, that income piece is the very foundation of the financial house. It's the bullseye of the target. Now, if we're looking at creating a retirement plan that's going to give you confidence, we need to know that we have reliable income that's coming in every single month. The next layer, after we solve the income, is we're going to look at inflation. This goes right along with the blueprint. If we look at inflation and we say we know that the need is going to double over the next 20 years based on our current pace, we need to have a plan and a strategy that we're going to deal with inflation. And then the opposite outside ring here is the growth ring. Now let me tell you what I see most often when I look at a plan. Family comes in, visits our office, and what we instantly notice is most of the money for their retirement is out here on the fringe of the target. And if we imagine if we were at the Olympics and we were going for gold, silver, or bronze, we would want to be more in the center. But the reality of what happens is when we look at this financial plan that you currently have right now, it's maybe a 401k statement, a brokerage statement, an IRA statement. Most of the money, the emphasis, the purpose, why is it working? What is it doing? It's built on growth. And it's the same that you've been doing for the last 20, 25, 30 years, and you've been saying, I hope that I'm going to get to retirement and I have enough money. You may be on autopilot, just putting that percentage away into the 401k or IRA. But as you can see here, when we just step back and look at it on the target, what it does is it gives us a little bit of perspective, and we might be saying, man, that money is not in the right place. So here's a little bit of checklist to help us identify and see if our target is, if we're on target for retirement. And what I want to focus on here is if we come out here, the first step to be able to help us get in on target, if we're to sight this let's use a bow or a rifle, if we were to sight this in, the first thing that we need to do is clearly identify what our lifestyle is, what our income needs are during retirement. Leonardo da Vinci said it best when he said simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. If we just simplify retirement planning, you can retire whenever you have enough reliable income that pays for your lifestyle in retirement. So if we identify this and know where we're at, we can dial in on the bullseye. What is it that we need every single month to hit the target? Now, the next thing that we want to make sure is this money, when it comes to the income side, we want this to be reliable. The question I ask is, when you get to retirement, do you want to be absolutely certain that the money's going to be there every month, or do you kind of want to hope it's going to be there? No one wants to kind of hope you go to work and get a paycheck. So why would you want to kind of hope that your money's going to be there when you get to retirement? So the checklist there that helps keep us on course, on path, is have reliable income. And we define this by money that's the mailbox money. It's the money that shows up every single month. Just had a client in for a client review recently, and he said, Ryan, the thing that I love very most about my plan is the paycheck that shows up every single month in an auto deposit. That was his mailbox money. He did not have a pension. His father had a pension, and his father said, what you need is mailbox money. That is mailbox money when it comes to reliable income, and that gives you confidence and peace of mind. Now, when we figure out where we're on the bullseye, we want to make sure that we have an inflation strategy that's going to help us keep up with inflation, the extra money for the gallon of milk or the loaf of bread or the healthcare costs. And so we're going to create a strategy and have a plan when it comes to inflation. Now, finally, the last thing, if we were to look at this in a priority order, we're going to go to the growth strategy. What we want to do here is we want to dial this in to your risk score. We want to just match that out. If you look at the blueprint, this is going to be our bucket that's bucket number 4. We're going to dial in a growth strategy that beats inflation, helps you have additional funds. This is your fun money, your mad money during retirement, but we want to make sure it is safe and secure. If you look at this and want a little bit of help with sighting in your own retirement target and helping you get right in the center on the bullseye and designing this out properly, visit our website or give us a call at the office. We'd love to sit down with you and help you get in the right position.
You're watching Retirement Solutions Television, Utah's Retirement TV.
It's your retirement. How will you live it? How will you be remembered?
Will you be able to take me on vacation?
Will you be there for my ball games?
Will you teach me your values? You'll be able to play with me.
Oh, help me go to college. How will I remember you?
Have the retirement you dream about. Ask BossRetirement.com.
Having no clear retirement plan is a mistake I see a lot in my financial planning office when I meet someone for the first time. It is extremely rare that someone comes in and has a clearly defined income plan for his or her retirement. One way you'll be able to get a clearly defined retirement income plan is to talk to an independent financial advisor who specializes in retirement planning. Not someone who specializes in getting you to retirement, but someone who is dedicated getting you through retirement. If you don't have a clear retirement plan, then be one of the first 5 callers and you'll receive a free complimentary planning review. There's no obligation and no cost if you have at least $200,000 saved for retirement. Here's what you'll receive: a free report to sort through your current advisor costs, a tailored plan to guard your investments, tax analysis to reduce your tax liability and increase your cash flow, and a customized income plan to boost your retirement. Plus, you'll receive a budget assessment to help you manage your cash flow. So call now for your free, no obligation financial review.
You're watching Retirement Solutions Television, Utah's Retirement TV. Guys, I've got a great topic today. Again, a lot of people writing in, asking questions, askbossretirement.com. On the show, you talk about something called the Boss Retirement Blueprint. What is that?
The Boss Retirement Blueprint is a one-page summary to help you,
Not 150, right?
to help you understand exactly where you are and how to get to where you want to go. And what we love about this is these 150 pages. You see this a lot. We call it the boilerplate. They're these beautiful binders that have lots of stuff that's just boilerplate, doesn't really mean anything to
Fluffy,
you.
maybe a little bit of fluff in
A
there.
lot of fluff.
Copy, a lot of charts and graphs.
A lot of legal disclaimers. And here's what happens. You take that information, you didn't understand a word they just said. They talk about all these complicated concepts. You take that, you say, great, and you stick it on the shelf.
What's the problem with sticking it on the shelf? Is that you never, ever implement anything. In fact, Leonardo da Vinci said this. He said, simplicity is the ultimate in sophistication. What does that mean? It means that if your advisor is talking so far above your head that you don't understand what he's saying, that he probably or she probably doesn't quite understand all the pieces of the plan either. You need to boil it down to that one page that really by the end of the conversation that a client and husband and wife team, they could really explain it to each other.
And listen, this isn't happening enough out there. The simplicity piece. It's this self-perpetuating, very complex financial stuff. Let's keep everyone in sort of this muddy water. Listen, I've got a 90-page quarterly statement, or I have a extremely large monthly statement. All of this gets lost in there. So it's rather refreshing to find that we can actually put it all together on one page. And what is this, $5,000 for me to get it?
No,
$4,000?
It's completely for free. In fact, we're going to run this for you as a snapshot to help you understand where you are. There's 5 different buckets when it comes on the blueprint. First thing is you bring in your statements. We're going to help you understand what that 401k statement means, what this IRA statement, or anything else that you have. And the 5 buckets are the cash bucket, the income bucket, the inflation bucket, the growth bucket, and the legacy bucket. Those are really the 5 major areas that you need to look at when it comes to your retirement planning. And if you can understand where your money is right now, and then we can look at the need and say, okay, we've got an income shortfall, or we have an inflation problem, or we have a growth problem here. We're taking on too much risk. Now we can design a strategy.
I'm going to say something right now. You can go to the website right now, if I'm not mistaken. People at home could follow along on this. You've got it right on the website. So go to askbossretirement.com. You'll see it on there, and you could follow along. So let's start with that first bucket. And by the way, when you guys showed this to me, I had an aha moment. I thought, wow, that's so simple. That's so easy to read for, listen, you guys all day long, this is what you do for a living. But the vast majority of the world, they have another career or they have family, and they're
exactly
not
right.
They just need to, come on, give me one page. Show me everything that's on there.
Yep.
So let's start with that first bucket, cash.
So first bucket is cash. Now, in between segments, Mark, you gave us the story of your grandpa putting everything into the coffee can.
That's right, in the cupboard. Absolutely.
We're not necessarily saying to put all of that cash there, but it's the same idea. It's that
At my home, it's
emergency
in the
fund.
mattress.
That's probably
I
why you're
shouldn't
not
have said
sleeping very well. But the reality is you've got to put away about 6 months worth of reserves to ensure that if an emergency happens, whether it's a medical emergency, whether if the kids or the grandkids get in trouble, something changes. Let's face it, life happens. And because of that, you've got to have some money set aside to ensure that you've got enough money so that it doesn't ruin the rest of the plan. It doesn't break the bank, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the second bucket is the income bucket. Most people overlook this because they've spent their entire careers living paycheck to paycheck, but you would think because of that they would have thought about that the income
I
needs
want
to
people
continue.
listen to this because this is the important bucket. When I go through this, not that each one isn't important, but that income bucket, man, that's the one you got to get straight.
Yeah, because you mentioned looking at this really complicated statement, and people love to look at the bottom line and see how much they earned. It's really, they focus too much on that growth bucket that we'll talk about in a minute, when in reality, it's all about income, not only now while you're working, but through retirement and making sure you have enough.
Well, and part of going through retirement brings in the next bucket, which is inflation. Old man inflation is going to cost you a lot of money as you go through time. In fact, it will double the income basically every 20 years that you need. We start out at $5,000 a month that you need to cover your